Sometimes people shoot themselves in the foot. You made your bed, you're going to have to lie in it. That's true. But there's sometimes we might need to help wrestle the gun away from them. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Have you ever took stuff away from your kids? Huh? You ever took stuff away from your kids because they don't know what they're doing? Don't do that. Talking people out of stuff. We've got to realize, church, we are our brother's keeper. Let's go on, 36. Now, which of these thinkest thou was a neighbor unto him that fell amongst thieves? And he said, he that showed mercy on him says, then said Jesus unto him, go and do likewise. He said, okay, I've showed you the Samaritan did the right thing. Even though you look up to the priest, even though you look up to the Levite, the Samaritan, the people that you, in church, when people in the world are kind to one another, they're doing what Jesus wants us to do. What was the Lord trying to say? He was trying to say it really doesn't matter what title you pin on yourself, but what you do is what determines who you. It's the telltale sign of who we are. If we don't love one another and we don't love people and aren't concerned about other things, in other words, somebody's needing in, slow down a little bit. What are you going to cost you? 3 or 4 seconds? Or would you rather say, well, that sorry rascal wouldn't let me in? And then they show up to church. I got a perfect example. I can remember many years ago, I had an individual in church that only cared about himself. And the way I knew that is the way he lived. He didn't do anything unless it benefited him. And he came in and he was bragging one day about a lady that he saw at the laundromat that he really did. I can't remember what the whole story was. I don't remember, but he was laughing about what he did or said to the lady, and lo and behold, that lady walked through the doors of the church. And he said, that's her. But here's what's sad. Lindsay, she never came back to church again because of what that man did and said. So see, church, there is repercussions for the way that we live. Yeah, people are going to do us wrong, and slowing down to let somebody in, being kind. If you notice this generation, when somebody elderly comes up to the door, they'll cut right in front of them. It don't bother them to walk right in front of them. But what should we do? We should open the door and show a little courtesy and compassion. Hello? Should we? It used to be, I guarantee you when I was a kid, my dad would have slapped me right across the face. Son, get out of the way. Why? Because he was concerned. Did he love me? Oh, yeah. My daddy loved me. But what was he trying to teach you? That other people are important too. He taught me respect. He taught me manners. I've called people by their first name. He said, son, that is Mr. Jones to you. Yes, sir. I can remember one time when I first got in the church, my pastor, who was from the old school, I called one of the pastors, one of the evangelists by his first name, and boy, did I get in trouble. That's not Rex to you, that is Brother Johnson. Took me a second. In church, I want you to know that we've got to realize that he was trying to relay him. He said, go and do likewise. We got to realize, church, we've got to realize this is what Jesus wants, and this was Jesus speaking. Praise God. He said, go and do likewise. Let's look at Exodus 20, verse 5 through 10. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the riverside. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. Now, let me give you a little. Pharaoh had commanded that all the Hebrew children were growing, and God was blessing them. And they were getting more powerful, the more numerous, and they were growing. And the Egyptians got kind of afraid of them. So in other words, they're getting kind of afraid of these Hebrew slaves. And they were thinking, if they rise up, they might, and we're pretty mean to them, and they get mad. So Pharaoh had said, just throw all the baby boys in the river. Kill them all. Let the girls live. They can cook and clean. We can handle the girls. And Pharaoh had made the commandment to kill them. Verse 6. And when Pharaoh's daughter, she had opened the ark, the little ark, and Moses' mother put him in there, sent him down the river to try to spare his life. And when Pharaoh's daughter had opened, she saw a child, and she said, behold, the babe wept, and she had compassion. And said, this is one of the Hebrews. She knew who this was, because her dad had made a decree to let him die. But she had compassion. And my thought to you, and my comment to you is, when we have compassion on the lost, somebody that's got an addiction problem, somebody that's really lost in sin, somebody that didn't know, and we have compassion and we help them out of their situation, who do we not know could rise up to be another pastor, could be an evangelist, could be someone that could help many other people out of their despondency. She did. She helped him. Verse 7. And when said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child? This is all, God just worked this out really neat. And Pharaoh's daughter said, go, and the maid went and called the child's mother. You don't think God doesn't have a plan? Sometimes he used Pharaoh, a heathen, to save a nation. If he can use a heathen to save a nation, the same child of the man that decreed all of them die, if he can do that, what could he do with the church if we respond and react and we show compassion unto a world? What could God do through us? Whose child could we rescue? Who could we help in this life with compassion that might go on to lead other people to Christ? So what am I saying unto you? I'm saying we got to be careful. We got to be concerned about other. We got to have, and everybody repeat the word compassion. We got to have compassion. Yeah, sometimes and I've been known to say, well, it's tough love. But church, there's times people need help. Many times the people that really need help will never say a word. And it's got to be you that answers the call to go to the river. It's got to be you to see that little ark going by. Go see what that is. You got to be concerned. She took the child out of the ark of the bulrushes, and she took him, and it became, if you read in the rest of the text, let's go to verse 9. And Pharaoh's daughter said, take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give it thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. Verse 10, and the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moses. For she said, because I drew him out of the water. There are sometimes, church, that we have to take people under our wing with compassion. I've taken people under my wing and tried to help folks, and they bit me. They did me wrong. Used me, got all they could get out of me, and throwed me down. That's life. Brother Boswell, it seems like every time I try to help somebody, they just do me wrong. Well, that's life, church. Hello? That's life. How do you think Jesus feels? The only time they call or pray to him is when they're in trouble. When things are good, they never come to church. When God blesses them with money, they never give none to the church. The church helps them, pays their bills, does things for them to help them out. But when they get to where they can help the church, bye, see y'all. Happens all the time. Happens all the time. I hope I didn't scare the child. Happens all the time, church. But you see, Jesus said to be like the Samaritan. He went down and helped the guy, set him on his beast of burden, took him, paid for, helped him, did all he could to help him, and he got nothing out of it in this life. You see, if we're here to get a reward and if we're just here to feather our own nest while we're here, church, we're doing it for the wrong reason. We got to realize that regardless of what we do, it doesn't really matter about what we get here. And I want to move on very quickly. In closing, I want to go to Matthew 25:31 through 46. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory and all of his holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, verse 32, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate one from another as the shepherd divided the sheep and the goats, verse 33. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, and the goats on his left, verse 34. And then shall the king say on his right hand, come ye blessed of my Father, inherit ye the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungered, and you gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came unto me. Verse 37, and then shall the righteous answer and said, Lord, when saw we thee hungered or fed thee or thirsty and gave thee drink? And when saw we thee stranger and took thee in, and naked and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick and in prison came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of these the least of these my brethren, you have done it unto me. I'm telling you, church, Jesus is saying right here, when we love people and we have compassion and we're concerned about somebody else besides ourselves, there's a reward. You see, this world, it's really sad. The only time they're going to do something, I remember one time when I met a minister. I said unto my wife, I said, he's a politician. First time I ever laid eyes on him. I said, he's a politician. What does a politician do? He kisses all the babies and shakes everybody's hand, and he's really kind to everybody that can benefit him. The church, when we love people that can never repay us, when we do kind things to people that we know will never be able to repay us, who are we doing it unto? We're doing it as unto him. Jesus was saying, you need to, whatever opportunity, whatever comes your way, whatever floats down the river, that's what you got to be concerned about. Whoever comes through the door, I don't care whether they have money. I told the Lord many times, many years back, God, I'll be the poor man's preacher. Some people, if you don't have a big bank account, they don't care. Well, that's not me. Why? Because when I had nothing, he loved me. And I feel what goes around comes around. In church, I don't care. Your bank account does not mean how much I love you. Jesus made the statement. He said, condescend to me in a low estate. What does that mean? He said, don't go looking for the rich. I told a rich man that came in here one time, I said, I could tell his attitude, and I told him, I said, if you think you're going to come in this church and run this church with your money, you're wrong. He never came back. You know, and money, I heard my district superintendent, Brother R.D. Whalen. I really respect that man. I heard him from his own lips make this statement. And he was a wealthy man. He really was. Had a good education, had a good job before he got into the ministry. Was very influential, he was a district superintendent, very, very wise guy. And he made this statement, money is not a means by which we assess people's value. I respected that man because he was saying it really doesn't matter. There's some people in this church don't even have a bank account. But that doesn't mean that's what you're worth. Jesus, as he laid the foundation and he talked about it, he said, I was naked, I had nothing, and you helped me. You clothed me. I didn't have a thing, and you helped me. And they said, Lord, when did we do this? When you did it unto the least of these, my brothers. When the Lord brings people to us and we help them, and oh yeah, you're going to get used and abused. That's life. Have your kids ever used you? Huh? McKenna come down the aisle today and she had a little sack of donut holes. And I said, did you bring those to me? She said, They're mine. And sometimes it's like that. But we've got to realize, church, that there are times in our lives when we've got to find those that have fell among thieves. And we come in contact. And the Lord, the Lord will put you in positions to help people. He will. And the Lord will bring situations to you. And for example, I had an individual that had a need, and he was going to have to sell a possession of his, and probably would have took a big loss on it. I said, don't worry about it. I'll give you what you need. You give me the possession, and I'll hold it. When you get the money back, you come get it. No charges. Sometimes you just got to help people. Now, I'm not putting that out there that I'm making loans, okay? So don't get any ideas on that. But when people have needs, we've got to respond. We've got to realize that when people fall amongst thieves and they get wounded and they get hurt, we got to realize we got to do something. We just can't go look, oh yeah, bless you, my son, and walk on the other side. We can't do that. That's not who we are. That's not who Jesus was. We've got to be concerned about people. We've got to have compassion, because compassion, Pharaoh's daughter's compassion, the lady that was the daughter of the man that made the decree to destroy him, she had compassion and saved Moses from his death and saved a whole nation. So in closing, the person you show compassion on may be the next preacher. The person you show compassion on may be able to win 100 people, or maybe a missionary. We don't ever know. But the thing that I'm trying to leave you with is that there's a telltale sign of who we are. If we love one another and we love people and we try to support one another and be kind to one another, that's what Jesus did. And he said, go and do likewise. And that's what we got to do. We've got to put others first sometimes, because that's what Jesus did. All right, God bless each and every one of you. We're going to go ahead and take a short break. And let's realize, have compassion. Have compassion. All right, we're going to take a short break. God bless each and every one of you. We will have a missionary next week from France. He will be here with us in the morning, 10 o'clock. So invite some friends. We'll probably have a video on the work that's going on in France. And we will get to have a missionary. So it'll be a good time. You won't have to listen to me. And we'll have a missionary service Sunday morning. Everybody got that? So what does that mean? That means have compassion on somebody and invite them. Tell them, hey, look, you want to come and hear some good preaching? Not from my pastor, but from a missionary. So let's come check it out. All right, God bless each of you. Take a 5-10 minute break or whatever it is. And you'll be dismissed till the